Good evening to all our esteemed panelists for being with us on this important occasion of the World Lymphoma Day. Lymphoma and leukemia both, which are extremely important for us and for our patients. We have a real varied panel, people from USA to New Zealand. So we are covering the entire world today when we get this opinion. I would like to start with Dr. Sundar to introduce yourself so that we get the introduction from you rather than the moderator introducing you. So Dr. Sundar.
Thank you, Vandana and the VK team. I'm Dr. Suresh Sundar, and I'm a public health professional who's been assisting a large number of international organizations like UNICEF, USAID, etc. And this is the phase of my life where I'm trying to give back to society. So I'm advisor to a few NGOs. I'm also a parent of Hodgkin's and BMT survivor.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar. Maybe move on to Shibani, please.
I am Shibani Sutaria. I work with Tata Memorial Hospital as an individual volunteer of the Adult Hemat department. I have been there since a very long time, since it's been 9 years with this department, and I work with the awesome doctors. They're one of the, I think we have a beautiful team. We are 5 volunteers in this team, and we have very, very, very understanding doctors, which is the best part about this team.
Thank you, Shibani. Hartej, maybe ask you to introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hartej Bhartesh. I'm a lawyer by profession, and I've been working with an MNC from past 4 or 5 years, and I had last stage cancer in 2013. It was Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it's been 6 years of my remission. I do a little bit of cancer awareness with respect to all cancers, basically for youngsters as well. Because when I was diagnosed, I was 22, and there are a lot of things which we go through as a youngster. So I run a campaign called Ride of Hope, where I travel from city to city and meet cancer patients and go to offices and schools, tell them about the cancer and post-recovery, and share my experience with them.
Thank you, Hartej. Maybe move on to Prue, please.
Hi, I'm Prue Echeverry. I'm the Regional Director with Lymphoma Coalition, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but I've worked with Vandana for quite some number of years in different capacities involved with the Lymphoma Coalition, and prior to this was running Leukemia and Blood Cancer New Zealand as CEO, so for a number of years before that.
Thank you, Prue. Vasu and Shailaja.
I'm Shailaja, and I was treated for Hodgkin's in 80s at Tata Hospital. And now I live in New York. I'm married to Vasu, a cancer survivor. And I work in school.
Vasu?
Hi. So I was also treated at Tata, and where I was very fortunate to find Shailaja. The same doctors, Dr. Gopal and Dr. Saikia, treated both of us. And after my treatment, a little later, when I was past the 5 years and all that, I was coming to the US for higher studies. And then when Dr. Gopal, I think, was said hey, now it's past 5 years. And if you're thinking in terms of marriage, I think it'll be okay. If you need any help from us, let us know. And then I said, I would probably want to marry somebody like me who had similar experiences. They both looked at each other. They didn't say a word and said smile and then left.
So Vasu, we'll hear your story of marriage later.
Okay. I'm in the US and I'm sorry. I'm in the US. I'm a software professional. I'm a project manager at a bank. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. So Hartej, we'll start by you. आप बहुत young थे जब आपको cancer हुआ था. And you've gone through a lot in life. A lot of things have happened to you, and you have some bitter memories and you have some sweet memories. You have, can I talk about it? A broken relationship.
Yeah, please go ahead, ma'am. Please go ahead, ma'am.
So you have all type of bittersweet memories and experiences. Yeah. So we'd like you to talk about that.
So hello, everyone. As I already told that I had cancer in 2013. So I was 23 years of old age that time, and I think that I had cancer at age of 21 because when I see my older pictures, I found that I had swelling on the right side of my neck. So it all started with a swelling, and I started going to visit doctors. I was studying in New Delhi that time. I was in my last year of law. Basically, I'm from Madhya Pradesh. I was studying in Delhi. So my diagnosis started with FNACs, and I underwent 3 FNACs. But initially, nothing came up, and I just started some medicines, whatever was prescribed to me. And it went for a year or so. Now in 2014, I went to Hyderabad to visit my brother, just like that. And we thought that it's been a year now and we need to have a proper diagnosis of this. So we visited a general physician and she asked us to visit an oncology surgeon. Now, before what came after my surgery, I would like to say that my life was all good. When I say all good, it means that I never used to smoke. Occasionally I was a drinker, being a college guy. I mean, not an alcoholic, but yes, I did had a little bit of alcohol. So this was my pre-diagnosis, and when I went into oncology surgeon, I had my biopsy, and I found out that I have the third stage of Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now, I did a wrong thing, which I will definitely share with everyone, that I delayed my treatment for a year. We, coming from a very educated family, still were very worried about the chemotherapy effect. So what we did that we thought, let's go for some alternative treatments where I can continue my studies as well as I can like get the treatment as well. So I started my alternative treatment, and for a year I was having it. But in 2014, sorry, 2014, when I had my PET CT again, I found out that my cancer is like in the last stage and my bone marrow was also involved. But by that time, I completed my graduation of law and I started my MBA. Now, we did not want to repeat the same problem again, like same mistake again. So I quit my MBA and I shifted to Hyderabad with my brother there, and he was working there. So my treatment started, and my so here comes the thing that, okay, when you get to know that you have cancer, people feel different kind of emotions. For me, it was I mean, I will never say that I was like broken or something like that. My family took it very practically, and in fact I also. However, apart from cancer, there are so many things which actually made me broke. So I will get into that. My treatment started in May, and it was 12 ABVD, and by November, my treatment was done. But between this, apart from the cancer pain, I underwent a lot of, as ma'am mentioned, that there are so many problems when a young person goes through chemotherapy and all he faces. So I'll start with career first, because I was just about to complete my education, and the next thing you want to have in your life is to build a career. Now, when you are out of your education and you haven't got a job for 2 3 years, that gives you a big impact. So that was something which was there in my mind, that I am losing my crucial time of that 23, 24, 25 of age when I need to work, but then I'm not getting a job because currently I'm battling cancer. Apart from that, there are relationship issues one once go through, and there are so many examples we know about. Currently, we have a great example of Shelja sir and Basu sir, that both of them met, but there are some experience which people like us also go through. So I was with someone for 7 years. I mean, it was you can say that when you go into college, you come across all these things, and it went for a 7 year thing, and then initially when I was told that I might have a 5% chance of survival, people were there, but I thought they are with me, but that was not the case. By the time my treatment got over, I got to know that, okay, this is not the real thing, and they started backing out. So after even you complete your chemo, there are a lot of stuffs you go through, right? The people start judging you, your own people start leaving you, and then plays society that okay, how is he looking? Like even now also, after 6 7 years, even if I'm not part of a conversation, I get to hear that hey, that guy looks much older than his age, and I have heard it several times. So it's up to the person how he takes that comment, because initially even I used to feel bad because for a 23, 24-year-old lad, it is very important to like have a career, to look good, and not to be judged on basis of his medical history. But I went through all that. Uh, so 2015, I started my yoga and gym to come out of my chemotherapy issues, like the loss I had because of the disease. And then I started looking for a job. Now here comes something which I never imagined about. I started looking for a job, and the people were so reluctant to give me a job that they had the audacity to say that it won't be easy to for a cancer survivor to do a job of a corporate life where you have to sit in a chair for 10, 11 hours and do all these things. So when I was having cancer, I used to think that if I get cured, I do something for cancer awareness, but I had no clue what I will do and how I will do. So I used to read about a guy called Terry Fox. He had leg cancer. He was from California, and he ran a marathon of hope, where he was running across California, raising funds for this. So when this job thing happened and I got these comments, I called my father and I said, "Papa, I need some money." Coming from a middle class family, I already knew that we were already on like we spent a lot of money on my treatment, but this was necessary, I guess. And though I lost a lot of time from a career, I thought I will definitely like love to lose some 7, 8 months more, but I need to do this. So I went back home. I was in Pune that time looking for a job. These things happened. I went back home at my sister's place and I started raising some funds. I wanted some funds so that I can travel across the country and meet cancer patients and tell them, and in fact, people also, that hey, there is nothing wrong in having cancer. Once you have it, all you have to do is go for a treatment and then you can recover and live a normal life. So I did not get much support that time. I wanted to start my campaign on April 1st, 2016, being my birthday. But then I couldn't raise much funds. So some of my friends contributed some 30,000-40,000 rupees. And then it all started on May 1st, 2016, where I took my bike and started traveling solo across the country. And I started my ride from Raipur to Nagpur first. And there was my first experience with the cancer patients, with the palliative care cancer patients, and society at large. And I got a lot of response from there. People who had cancer contacted me. There were people who were doing something for in medical field also, and it went like fire. So it started from there, and since then I started a group also called Riders of Hope, where we provide all over India free blood everywhere. Because when I was having this chemo thing, I had to go for transfusion also, and in spite of having money in the pocket, we were not able to arrange even B positive at crucial times. B positive being so common with people, I was not able to get that. So I made some promises to myself that okay, if tomorrow I can do something like this or something with respect to cancer and blood, I would love to do that. And it's been 6 years now. I have recently set up a cancer foundation as well, Harteej Cancer Foundation. We are yet to go live by, I guess, by end of this year. I will again start my campaign, and for which I am trying to raise funds now. And uh, I would like to describe some phases one by one, talking about the career part. Because
Harteej, what we will do,
yeah,
Harteej, what we will do is
yeah,
come back to you after
yeah, sure,
everybody has spoken, and
yeah,
we'd love to hear from you about your different phases. In the meantime,
definitely,
I'd like to ask Dr. Suresh, because he was a caregiver and his son had cancer, Hodgkin's, and he's a doctor himself. So I'm sure as a doctor, you would have known much more about the disease than probably any of us here who are just patients. So, how was your experience as a doctor, as a father, as a caregiver, and now about your son? What is he doing, and about his marriage and other things?
Thank you, Vandana. In fact, my son was also, my elder son was almost, Hartej's age only. About 9 years back, he developed some glands on the supraclavicular region. And the first thing, obviously, we thought was maybe tuberculosis or whatever it is. And then we got a biopsy done, and then it turned out to be Hodgkin's. My wife and I both are doctors. We were pretty surprised, but we thought we have to face a situation. So we took a second opinion of the, the lymph node biopsy. And later on, once the diagnosis was clear, he underwent chemotherapy and radiotherapy, the standard ones. 7 months after that, he was feeling quite well as it is. And after 7 months, he had a relapse. Of course, the doctors, we discussed with, a 15% chance of relapse is always there in Hodgkin's lymphoma. He had a relapse and then he had to undergo bone marrow transplant the next year. So 8 years back, he underwent BMT. And then after that, he's been doing quite well now. He's, started his career in Toronto. He's actually, we had sought admission for masters in audio production, audio design for him in UK. We had paid the advance fee also, and then later on this diagnosis happened and the university was nice enough to refund most of the money. And then, there was a waiting period of a couple of years by the time all this BMT and everything was over. And then, we got readmission for him for the same course in UK. And after that, he completed and now he's doing quite well from his career point of view of doing post-production work for films. He was also one of the judges in the Canadian Film Academy recently. So that way, it's all, I think we have been very fortunate. God has been very kind to us, mainly because we were living in Mumbai city. We had access to the best of care, the best of doctors and all that. But still, I feel that there were a lot of challenges which, if we, being doctors, face a little bit of challenge. I wonder how the general population would be, mainly in terms of, once the diagnosis or something is made, whom to go to, who is the best doctor, which is the best center. Always we talk about the best. Fortunately, again, we were financially well off, but there will be so many people who may not be, and therefore they have to opt for what is the best at the with the available resources. There was no directory as such of all the doctors and facilities and all that. That is something, one of the challenges we face. We had to ask our friends and, doctor friends and all that, where to go and all those things. Second opinion, again, we were doctors, we could take second opinion, but of course, Navia is a good program of Tata Hospital. But, if always, in such a situation, one always likes to take a second or third opinion, that was something, I think, one more challenge. And all the supportive care that is needed, Again, we were fortunate that we had this thing, but otherwise, as he mentioned, how the people, how the family, of course, we have a small family of friends, everybody came forward. In fact, when my son wanted platelets and blood, we just put the word around and lots of people volunteered, came and all that. But I wonder how many, the kind of support that is needed, the blood, the platelets and all those things, all these are really challenging situations that people face, a general population, we could understand. And therefore I thought that's after that entire experience, I've been spending a lot of time with cancer, including WeCare. Been spending some time with various NGOs and childhood cancer NGOs like Access Life and Can Kids and all that to, let's do something for, our friends and, our people so that, we can be of some use to them based on a lot of experience that we have gained over the years.
So were you traumatized when you came to know about the cancer?
Obviously, I mean, we were very, that's what I'm saying. We thought it'll be tuberculosis, something of that kind, and but of course, but we faced it. I'm a little tough that way. My wife also, she's also a doctor, so she's handling a lot of. So we were tough mentally, but obviously our own son, we always think of the worst, and especially after BMT and all that, we were very critical, and we were not sure also we will make it in some situations. It's some, we faced it.
Yeah. Please carry on.
No, we faced all that. It's because ultimately cancer doesn't affect the patient alone; it affects the entire family and the nearby relatives also. Because they also, you need a lot of support. Even though we may be mentally strong, we need support of various kinds.
So we've heard two sides. We've heard of a patient and we've heard of a caregiver. And Shivani, you are in Tata Memorial Hospital with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Foundation. So I'm sure you see both the aspects very often. And would you like to tell us, how you meet them, how you talk to them? What is it that you tell the patients? What is it that you tell the caregivers?
So I gave a very short intro thinking that, we'll take this further. So I work in Tata itself with the adult mat. The doctor started a foundation called the Leukemia Lymphoma Foundation. It was started with the very thing to where they could reach out to the maximum number of patients who are vulnerable, you know, who need help, who need not only where the finance is concerned, but even where, like he said, like he brought out the topic about blood and platelets, right? That is, and through COVID, we've seen that even we struggled even more through COVID financially and for the blood platelets. Uh, this organization was even set up to look after the psycho and social needs of the patient. So this is where we come into the picture. Like I said, we are a group of volunteers. So we start by, talking to the patients. We have two people who kind of interview the patients when they come in. When the new patient file is made, we kind of take down their details. What kind of a background are they coming from? What are they doing currently? How many people are there in the family? What is their income? So all that has been taken down. So we guide them after that with the help of the doctors. Once we come to know, once all their reports come in, when we come to know what kind of cancer it is, we guide them and the relatives how the funding will be done, how we'll be helping them through their funding, through their accommodation, through their diet, through their chemotherapy. What we could, like doctors usually tell them about their side effects. Sometimes they understand us, sometimes they don't. So they come up to us again to understand it. Hygiene is something we find quite difficult, especially when they come from small villages and all. It takes us a long time to make them understand about their hygiene. But every battle has to be won, and we usually win it. And our patients are really, really, I mean, it's really, I find it astonishing that the kind of background that they come from and the little knowledge that they have, they really turn out to be winners. And that is what gives us strength in our hospital to keep on working, to keep on going every day, to keep on seeing that every struggle that we have with every patient, we win. We win with them. We make them realize that they are winners, that they can win. They can struggle through this. They are fighters and they must fight it. So that's a very beautiful thing that the doctors even let us do. See, for Tata Memorial, even to let somebody from the outside come in and let us associate with the patients so closely is a very big thing. Like Vandaji and all have an NGO which is so, known, which has been there for so long. But we come as individual social workers and we associate it. So the trust of the doctors and the hospital in us is what really motivates us the most to come back every day and to fight this. The biggest trouble we have is, I think, finance. Because finance, how much ever we try, even through CSRs, there are a lot of NGOs helping us, we always fall short somewhere. And what our foundation really wants is that the patient doesn't have to pay for anything. They walk in, is what our dream is. They come in and their whole, it can be a 30,000 thing, it can be 6 lakhs. When you go to leukemia, 6 lakhs. When you come to lymphoma, it's 3 lakhs. So they should not struggle for even a cent. We should be able to manage them from day one till the therapy gets over. So that is our dream. Our dream is also to see that we are there for them beyond cancer care. So we are hand holding them till the end, till they go ahead in life. Once they go back, say they want to go back to work, they want to go back to their studies. We want to inspire them to go back and to do that. So that is also one area that we are working very hard at. We have a doctor and one of our volunteers, Vibha Hemrajani, who's working very hard for that. And we are very, very, fortunate to have Dr. Jayashree and Vibha working behind this cause, because it has been a dream of all of us to see beyond cancer for the patient. Like I said, we have therapy classes, we have music, we have dance, we have annual days. So where we inspire the patients to take part, where we inspire the caregivers. For caregivers, sometimes we find it very difficult to even understand, to go. We are a very big hospital, so go from one building to the other to find where the areas are, where the payments, where the blood has to be given. So this is where we even help them to go to figure out areas, to figure out where they stand. They come to us almost every second day. If I have not done my ward round on a certain day, or if we have not been in the OPD on a certain day, they call us. Most of them have our numbers. So they even, we've even given them that much, especially when they're in the ward, we give our numbers so that if there is a difficulty on a weekend when we are not there, then they can pick up their phone and call us that, okay, we are in a difficulty. So that is one more area. So empowering patient and caregivers is one of our biggest, I think, areas that we work in. That we empower them instead of making them dependent on us. We empower them to look ahead. Is, I think, one area. Yes,
thank you, Shibani. I'd like to move on to Prue. Prue has been part, as she introduced herself, of the World Lymphoma Coalition. And maybe because of my constant nagging to all of them in the coalition, that the Asia Pacific part of the coalition was set up, because my thing always was that, your problems and our problems are very different. In fact, last year there was a survey conducted. So I'd like to ask Prue to talk about the coalition and the survey and what all is being done at the Asia Pacific.
Thank you so much. And it's absolutely a privilege also to be here and to follow the talks that I just have actually lead really quite well into mine, although they're completely different. But I smile a little bit at what you just said, Vandana, because we have listened. And over the years of what you rightly asked for, we're doing and we're trying to do. And these pieces of that, our presence in the region, and I'll come on to the detail of what we do in a minute, but our presence in the region and some of the things when asked what is really, really needed, what could we do as an organisation to support VCare, and some of the answers that remain with me are around data. We need data, we need information to be able to advocate well or do our work better. And health literacy was another area. So both of those we're working on, but I'll step back and just talk a little bit about the Lymphoma Coalition in the first instance. So it's been going for nearly 20 years actually now, started in 2002, and quite unbelievably, in one form or another, I've been involved since the year after it started and had involvement. So I've seen it grow from a very small grouping of not blood cancer not-for-profits, specifically lymphoma, but sometimes wider blood cancer not-for-profits, into a large global organisation today. We're a network of blood cancer groups, so we're here to support the patient organisations with a view to strengthening those organisations in the best ways we can. And the ways we do that is through advocacy and information. We support our members by making our materials available so they can be the best they can be with that data. And that comes back to why Vandana said to me, we need data. And we need you to actually understand what's happening in our region and in our country. So we have 82 patient organisation members across the world. That's across 52 countries, of which VCare is a member. And we build capacity, as mentioned, and provide support, information, toolkits, trying to be as relevant and useful as possible in each organization and in each region. And obviously every country and every organization is different. There's many ways we do it, but some of the key platforms that we have, one is a global summit, and that's about to come up. That's normally an in-person meeting, but due to the pandemic, this year and last year were virtual meetings. And it's a very important meeting for sharing best practice. So VCare can be involved and engaged with patient groups who are involved in exactly the same work all over the world and share her experience of what her work is in India, so groups can learn and build from that, and that she and the team can learn what's going on in other countries. And that may be from fundraising to governance to policies to advocacy, whatever it is, patient support. One other big initiative that we have is the World Lymphoma Awareness Day, which is kind of the reason for the timing of the meeting tonight. So that's the 15th of September, but usually activities happen across the week. And we're really thrilled with that campaign this year, which has had incredible pickup. We have one central theme that was translated all over the world. And we've seen fantastic coverage. That was We Can't Wait, which had messages about not waiting to be diagnosed, because we know, not waiting to be diagnosed, signs and symptoms and many other things, because we know that this pandemic has taken a necessary focus by our governments and healthcare situations, but has also knocked back what was also needing to happen, that there's delayed diagnoses for cancer, that sometimes people are afraid to come to hospital, that there's different systems haven't played out as they normally would. People's treatment might have been delayed. So it's brought new challenges for patient organisations. Back to the region, actually, so that was global, and that's the organisation globally. We have felt for quite some time that we needed to have a way bigger focus and presence in Asia Pacific. And to that end, in 2018, set up the focus that we have in this region. So some of what we've done has been in the form of reports. And whilst that might not sound so powerful, actually the data within them is being able to be used within those countries that were focused in there. And that was covering things like disparities in care that are completely different in this part of the world than, to say, Europe or North America. Psychosocial issues, issues of stigma around cancer, clinical trial access to other treatment. VCare contributed to that publication, and we're really appreciative of that engagement. We have other projects that I could talk about later if that was of interest. But I wanted to come on to another very key tool that we have, which is the Global Patient Survey. And that's a really significant and large survey that we do every 2 years. And we've done a number of those now. The last one was last year. And for the first time, India, and that's via VCare's push really, India has its own report in that. So this report, we have nearly 12,000 participants took part in that trial, patients and caregivers globally, of which around about 5,000 were in the Asia Pacific region. And this time, for the first time, as mentioned, when I say this time, the report that came out last year, the most recent one, had India represented. And how countries have been using, I'll come on to what sort of data is collected, but how countries have been using that information in their country through their patient organisations is to firstly be able to understand, are there any gaps in their services when they understand, well, not so much gaps in their services, but when they understand some of the issues patients or caregivers are facing, they can realise what they can do to strongly address that or change anything they need to. It's about improving and understanding patients' experiences. And I really liked what Shibani and Dr. Sudha said just beforehand. It's around support and understanding the condition, and even well-informed people really do still need all that support and understanding of the condition, of what's happening with side effects, of what's happening with treatment. They are burdened by other issues around finances and other psychosocial issues that all come into play. So there's many ways that data has been used in different countries, and India has, we've been working together, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But looking at what the report for India, I think it's of benefit, but VCare probably should be the ones to comment, because it can provide specific information about what patients and caregivers in India are experiencing. But then it can also be compared to what patients were experiencing, that same data across Asia Pacific or globally. And it might be an opportunity to say, oh goodness, it stands out more that we have more of this or less of that. So it covers all sorts of areas within the survey, but fear of relapse, access to clinical trials, understanding your condition and subtype, and therefore understanding your treatment, understanding what's going to happen to you with that treatment, how long that's going to be, and what experiences you'll have. Understanding the importance around, so that people understand the financial implications, the effect on relationships, fatigue, all of those things. VCare, I've worked a little bit with VCare, who've been doing some amazing work since the publication of those reports, and have gathered a group of NGOs, cancer NGOs, with a view to saying, hey, we've got this little bit of data now, and there's things that we could do. So it was gathering groups together to say, patients, and from a patient and caregiver perspective, rather than a clinical one, this is what's going on for patients. What can we do about it? And actually in the first meeting, and that was February this year, wasn't it, that we had the first meeting of that, actually the issues that arose from the meetings were a little bit different than expected. One of them was that referrals to all of the NGOs were down due to COVID, and how on earth to address that. So people were referred. We're hearing about the challenges for patients, and particularly those who may have travelled really long distances for treatment, and yet they might not be getting referred to the groups. Insurance issues really came up, and the complete unfairness of what plays out after a cancer diagnosis with access around insurance. Having a stronger voice, having the NGOs respected within the hospitals. And again, it was really good hearing Shibani talk about the privilege of being able to have the access to work inside the hospital like that. So there's many, many things that grouped up. Those groups are powerful when they talk together. So the network that VCare has with all of those cancer organisations is powerful when the groups come together and have one voice. And that's really the power of advocacy and being able to use that data. So I won't talk more to that. And if there's any questions later, I'm happy to refer to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thanks a lot, Prue, and nice learnings that we are getting in the meetings. And I think most of the people who have joined in are benefiting from it. And we are now actually working, but Dr. Sundar said that there was no directory available to know which doctors and who to go for and all that. And so we are all working, collecting data on that. And soon, hopefully, we should be able to have a directory which can be shared. At least if you get in touch with an NGO, the NGO should be able to pass on that information to the people.
Sorry, and also a referral pathway, because sometimes,
Yeah. So now we have a very romantic story. Shailja and Vasu. So, they've brought the romance to cancer, I must say that. And Shailja, today I'm going to ask you to talk because you are always the shy one. Vasu always begins to talk and then he doesn't let you talk. Huh? So you start. How did you get in? And you had your treatment at Tata, you were treated. and subsequently, and probably the same time Vasu was going through the treatment. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah, it's
then
the same
what?
time.
And then what?
Yeah, I was going to, I got treated in 86 and, 2 cycles of chemo and 2 cycles of radiation, and going for my follow-up, every 3 months, and after every 6 months, and after almost like 10 years. So I went for my follow-up and there was Dr. Saikia, and all of a sudden he asked me, Shailaja, are you interested in getting married? So I said, if the person has gone through the same experiences like me, then I would be interested. And he just picked the phone and talking to Dr. Gopal, and my dad was looking at him. He said, I'm sending Shailaja and her father to you. So we went to Dr. Gopal. And I think Vasu's father already was in talks with Dr. Gopal, or he must have told him that, can you, look for a match, like just like a girl, who has been treated and who is in remission. So then my father, contacted Vasu's father, and they met, and then Vasu came to Bombay. So we met and just spoke for like maybe an hour. And then his father wanted us to come to Vizag. So I went there just like that. And then we got married within 3 days. That's it. So it was initially, like all.
It was really a story of jab we met, huh? You met and you got married. So
Fatafat marriage, yeah.
Yeah. So now your turn to add on.
For me, okay. There's nothing much to add on. I mean, like, she's
what I meant was, did you have, like societal pressures? Did people say, why are you getting married? And, you are a cancer patient and then getting married to another cancer patient. Will it affect your family?
And I mean, like, at least, that didn't come to me so much. I think dad and mom faced so much. And see, I had testicular tumor, and we never, say, when I was like about Hatte's age at that time, like, so, and I was like in my early 20s, but we never, like, my father is now retired, of course, but he's a professor at a university, and we never hid it from anybody. And then people took this testicular tumor thing and started saying things like he's impotent, is this, is that. So which later on came to me. But I was in my own world because of this cancer experience, and I was kind of disconnected from my contemporaries, my friends who were thinking about higher studies, who were thinking about getting a job. I was in a different world. By myself, I was not aware of that. I used to talk about this cancer nonstop to people who didn't care, or who used to draw conclusions like Vasu is important from that conversation. So which was kind of very funny and all that. And it was like, I was not thinking about marriage when Dr. Gopal and Saikia asked me that question. It was like, he said, it just came to me. I said, I need somebody. And at the time I wanted to do something about cancer, that I came to the US not to study. I had a computer science degree at that time, master's degree, but I wanted to study rehabilitation counseling. It was not available in India. So my dad, I pressured my dad. I made him take a loan. And came to the US to study rehabilitation counseling. And so I was all preoccupied with that. And I wanted to be in that world. But after a year, I had like $2 in my pocket sitting in America. And I didn't know what to do. But my mind was all about cancer. Even after 30 years, 33 years, a day doesn't go by when Shailaja and I think we could not have even dreamt that 30 years later, we would be here, we would be happy, and we would be have each other for us and have a contented life. That was if we can get past the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever. And so I don't know, I didn't really think so much about society, and that was always my shortcoming, I think.
No, it wasn't your shortcoming, because that is what kept you going, I think, and that's what kept you so strong, Vasu. And now that it's almost, we are looking forward to your 50th year celebration. with all
Yes.
of us coming to New York to celebrate your big day on a very
Yeah. Absolutely.
Next year, 25th anniversary, wedding anniversary.
next year.
25th.
Wow!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so now this whole year should be celebration time. Don't
Celebration.
wait for one day for celebration. It should be the throughout.
No, we are very, very thankful, and it is. I mean, again, beyond our wildest dreams that we would be in this situation. But having said that, when I hear all the panelists here, what I mean, personally, I'm not Shailaja is involved in this. I always admire people who actually, like Shibani, when she says she's been a volunteer for so long. And for me, as maybe as a male, there was always this problem of having to. I'm also come from a very middle class family, did not have any resources at all. The problem of having to support myself and whatever my family has, and then provide some security and be wanting to do something. That balance, it's very, 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 very difficult to achieve. But finally, I think we both are in a stage where I think we don't have to work to live. And so I think hopefully this year, that's why I'm writing that project or whatever. And one line that I wanted to add about it is it's not about, even though it's based on one person's life, I'm writing it as a series, so that it also incorporates 8 or 9 episodes in Netflix or whatever. It also incorporates the general journey of cancer from 70s to 80s and how it developed in India. So I don't know. I mean, I want to be able to touch in with all these people and hope I can learn. And I have one question for Prue, if you don't mind, one quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Prue, you talked about data, right? I'm a software engineer. I studied software. And one of the biggest things that I think I'm interested in doing this when I move to India and all that is to be able to work on data, basically. But the advantage that we have now is that we don't have to structure data, like Shibani talked about, the surveys and having all the questions. We don't have it to be structured. We can have unstructured data, we can just have a tape recorder or a video recorder and interview people, and be able to collate that information through artificial intelligence and machine learning and speech recognition and all that. That is something that I'm hoping to be able to do. And because data is essential, that is the key. And I mean, being a software engineer, being an information scientist, that is, I know that's if without that there is nothing.
Yeah.
And if I can talk to you, if I can be in touch with you about that, and I would really appreciate
I'll connect you to Prue.
That would be wonderful.
Prue will be able to work on it, and I'm sure she'll be very happy to work on something.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. So Hartej,
sorry. Talking about data, long-term follow-up is one of the challenges that at least in India and the developing countries we face. Because otherwise, for calculation of survival and a whole lot of things.
Right.
Yeah. So Hartej,
yes.
quickly, if you can tell me about your 3 stages, quick, but
yeah, so
you have about 2-3 minutes to do that.
Sure. So there are 3 stages, basically: pre-cancer, post-cancer, and during cancer. So when it's about pre-cancer, I was living a normal life, but then later when we got to know that we had cancer, all things came up. So as I was saying, that we go through a lot with respect to relationships as well. So what I wanted to convey at large is that we need to have a support group for, see, if I don't talk about my cancer, how will we care, or any NGO will come to know that this person needs assistance, right?
Yeah.
So sadly, at this part of this world where we live, we hide our diseases, right? I often see people from outside India who celebrate their chemotherapies, like I am going to have my first chemo, we beat cancer recently and all those stuff, right? Here in India, we don't do that. So that is something which I want to, that's why I keep on saying, let's make fighting cancer cool. When I say that, I mean that you don't need to hide your disease, right? It's something happened to you, you can be vocal about it. The moment you go vocal about your disease, the half battle is won already, right? Now, you don't need to think about the society that they will judge you. But if you hide something from the people, there will always be a sense in your mind that, okay, hey, I have hidden this cancer history. And what if somebody comes up tomorrow and tell the world that, hey, this guy had cancer, right? So all I urge to the people is that please be vocal about your disease and never underestimate yourself with regards to anything. You can live a wonderful life even after having cancer and getting cured out of it. And That's it. I mean, this is only I want to convey at large right now. That's
So,
it.
when I was having my treatment, everybody used to tell me to be positive without really explaining what they meant by being positive. Because being positive is a very, imaginary term. But no one told me that, being positive meant that, you can appreciate what you've already had, what you've enjoyed in life, and that, you can be grateful for what you've done and all that. And that, being positive also meant that you have to find activities that match my strength and my values. That is being positive. So, no one ever explains all that to any patient. They always say you should be positive to get well. But what does positive mean? And you don't know what condition I am to be positive about. So I think it's important that we understand. We also tell the patients to be positive for being grateful for what they've gone through, and then be positive by thinking of what they can do, like you mentioned, about various activities that can be planned for patients. And it's not necessary that you need to handhold a patient to do something. You can think of anything which can add value.
Right.
So I like to ask each one of you a thought on positivity, and end with Hartej when he's going to sing a song for us. So Prue, maybe I can start from you. Something on positivity.
I like what you said, and about being positive. But for me, being positive is about gratitude and being grateful for what we have already and what we can work on. And yeah.
Dr. Sundar?
Right, same thing what Prue mentioned. Being grateful to God and to the to everyone for the lucky situation we are in, because
yeah,
we always think of I mean, we are so fortunate that much better to say.
So Shibani, what do you tell the patients about being positive, and how do you explain it?
Very similar to what you said, Vandanaji. We say something very similar, and we try to look for something that is, that they like to do. There are many patients who like to read. I come across a lot of patients who are still studying, so I try and tell them, why don't you get your books in, to keep themselves busy, so they're not thinking about their chemo and they're not thinking about other stuff that they need not be, because then your mind tends to be all the time thinking about what the struggle that you're going through. So even if they're older patients, we try and motivate them through different areas. I try and get people to come and play music even in our ward, though COVID has not allowed us to do that. But I think positivity is a lot like what Prue said. It's how you it's how you look after them, how you manage them, how you care for them, the empathy that goes along with it. So yeah, I think we all are kind of on the same line where positivity is concerned, and how humble also you are with them.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of difference, because I've seen that when you show love to them, okay, it immediately brings a smile on their face. They immediately know, yes. And you can immediately feel that vibration. When you give a good vibration out, you always get a good vibration back. But that vibration is it.
Vasu and Shelja?
For me, being positive is being optimistic and, like pursue some hobbies, like reading or music, and be thankful, that you have
Did
what
you
you have.
hear a lot of people telling you to be positive during your treatment?
Oh, my situation was very different. Like my father, the parents always didn't share this news with anyone. So nobody told me to be positive. These things, I think I just learned by myself, being positive is, being optimistic and hope for the best and develop some, good hobbies. And that is what I started reading, and listening to music, learning music, those things.
So tell me something, was there a particular reason why your family didn't want to share your...
I don't know, my parents, they just being only daughter, I'm the only daughter. So they just thought, they just wanted me to get married. And that time there was no internet. So we didn't know the seriousness of the disease probably. And I knew that for me, I thought I'm never going to get married. So, but my father just thought, some way I will get married. And so they usually try to hide that, like that disease, like they didn't want to tell people that I have been treated for cancer, except for my relatives in Bombay who knew that since I was treated there. So, but they were very supportive. So my parents, the only thing their focus was more on me getting married. So that's why I did it. Whatever I did, I did everything after coming to this country. So, I did the masters, through correspondence course, started learning music, reading, everything. So I don't blame them, because there is this love for their only daughter, and their only focus was me getting married. But now I'm very positive. Yeah.
And how about you, Vasu?
No, for me, see, I've always been see, when I realized that, my problem was that I was always living in the future. I was not regretting the past, but I wanted to make a difference in the future, and I was always living in the future. And had these plans of building an artificial intelligence based system to counseling. So I was always kind of projecting, and I had a good job. I was in Wall Street, and but I never really cared for it. It was so I never really enjoyed my job, and I had been thinking there's something lacking in terms of this positivity or whatever. Luckily, through Shailaja's job, we came into area. This is very, very, very beautiful, and I've always been interested in photography and all that. And so we've been taking walks, and I've been trying to take pictures of birds. And recently, this is after all this, I realized that this whole positivity is, and when I'm watching the birds, trying to take a picture, I'm not worried about the past. I'm not worried about the future. I'm just in that moment, and when I hit that spot, right, of being in that moment, I think that's when I'm in moment of Zen, and that's where I think real positivity is. And for me, at least, that's what I realized.
So I must share with everybody here on the panel that very often in the mornings when I get up, I have a nice, beautiful picture which Vasu has sent me from his walks. And then I have a song which Shailaja has sung, or Vasu has some plans, future thinking, and he's sharing with me. So early he must have sent it at night, but that's the first thing I see in the morning. So I say, oh my God, now Vasu is at it again. Now he's coming up with something new again. So each time Vasu's WhatsApp message adds some enthusiasm to my life also. So I think that's the important thing.
Thank you.
So, Hartej, can't leave you without a song. He sings extremely well, and a song of hope and positivity.
Yeah, so it's just for Pru. First of all, I would like to say that it's a Hindi song, and the context of the song is that I still have some life left in me. So I keep on singing this song wherever I go, and this is how it goes. अभी मुझ में कहीं बाकी थोड़ी सी है जिंदगी, जगी धड़कन नई, जाना जिंदा हूँ मैं तो अभी, कुछ ऐसी लगन इस लम्हे में है, ये लम्हा कहाँ अब है सामने, इसे छू लूं जरा, मर जाऊं या जी लूं जरा, खुशियां चूम लूं या रो लूं जरा, मर जाऊं या जी लूं जरा.
So the little translation is that whether he should live up to enjoy all the pleasures in life and be happy, or should he be sad and be crying about everything that has happened around him. And I'm sure we don't want any of us, any of our patients, any of our caregivers to be in a state when they need to cry or to be upset about anything at all. We want everything to be everyone to be happy. And to close with the slogan for this year is we can't wait. We can't wait for diagnosis. We can't wait for treatment. We can't wait for our life ahead. And so we should all say we can't wait. That is our slogan for this year, and we want to continue doing that. Thanks a lot to each one of you for being here, Vasu and Shailaja, so early in the morning and through so late at night. And
That's my pleasure.
hope you enjoy your weekend and have a good time. Thank you very much from weekend.
One small point, actually doctors are doing a great job in terms of diagnosis and management, but NGOs like WeCare and other support groups play a very significant role in hand holding the patient and helping them pass through the entire challenge so that they have a bright future. I think WeCare, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.